is the instability in Russia, do you see that something is it just the new norm now? Or do you see that continued instability affecting markets down the line?
Wow, that's a big question. With the sanctions and the sort of the removal of Russia from the main markets through sanctions, the impact on that is probably less than it would have been some years ago. But there is a danger that this could hit gas markets. And again, I think Europe stands in the middle of some of this again. So we need to watch what goes on with this. It's not clear what his objectives are. And until that becomes clearer and what Putin's reaction to this is he going to forgive him? Does Putin ever forgive anybody? I don't know.
Yeah.
So that would be interesting to see how that pans out. But that is something that is definitely worth monitoring as we go forwards.
So you mentioned before the tech market, the Nasdaq's flying, pushed up by mainly 5 companies. Nvidia obviously being one of those companies. Chip stocks are booming. Is this AI hysteria, AI hype a bubble? Is it a baby bubble? How do you see the valuations eventually catching up in terms of earnings? What are your thoughts?
That's a very good question, Tom. I think the initial move I think was quite late in coming, which is weird. This stuff's been around for a while. The chip side of it with NVIDIA was a big push, and their earnings did prove that. So I think we've now got some of the big boys in this. The asset managers see it as something that they need to benchmark against. So therefore, I think we've seen this drive up from there. I think retail now is fully loaded as well. That's the one area that worries me slightly.
Yeah.
So there is some FOMO in there. I would say there is some risk within that FOMO as well, because that's how those markets work. They become a little more emotional towards these extremes that we get to. Having said that, if we take a step back and look at the fundamental structure of what this stuff can do, and I think there's some brackets around that with privacy issues and stuff like that, which needs to be ironed out. But it does look like it could be a transformation within technology, which is going to improve or change people's lives and the way they do things.
Yeah.
So some of these companies could do very well indeed. There are going to be bouts of nervousness around them. There is some regulatory stuff that could crop up as well, again, on the privacy side of things, and how safe what they produce is.
Yeah.
But at the moment, I think this is like the early days of Apple, if you like.
Yeah.
So I do think it's in danger of being a bubble. What could burst that bubble, I think, is higher rates and a total drop in global growth we've got to be careful of, because chip makers, everybody's starting to make chips.
Yeah.
So the competition is increasing. There's a lot of onshoring going on. AI is a great phenomenon, but it is in danger of becoming bubble-istic, if you like.
Yeah.
Which isn't a word, but what is AI? So I think we've got to be cautious, but at the moment, I do think dips will attract.
Finally, we'll finish on a slightly different topic, which is the end of so-called Erdogan-omics and the Turkish Lira. He's obviously done a bit of a U-turn in the last kind of week or so. How do you see the future of the Lira?
Well, I think him doing a U-turn is a bit broad. I think he's more or less just come to a bit of a gentle halt, yet to turn. The new finance minister, he's been there before.
Yeah.
The new economic czar, but with Erdogan having won that election, I wouldn't be surprised if he resorts to type. What disappointed me last week, and the markets in particular, was the fact that the new finance minister was suggesting that any policy moves are going to be gradual.
Yeah.
The market didn't like gradual. The market wanted action. And so we saw a 5.7% drop on the Thursday. We saw 2.5% drop on Friday before it recovered slightly. But it doesn't look like there's going to be a push. They're looking for stabilization. They're looking for a slow move back to where they can get to a stable market. But be careful with the try. The Turkish Lira is not for the faint-hearted.
Yeah.
It's highly volatile. It's got high margins on it. And it's, it can damage your health. So you need to be careful. You need to understand what the market is about and how wild some of these swings can be. And I wouldn't suggest it's for everybody, particularly holding positions over weekends where any kind of news could come out. But there are opportunities in it. But is this a new dawn for Erdogan? Has he changed his mind on inflation and how to fight it? That's still in the balance, but this new finance minister does deserve time to give it a try.
Thank you, Maurice. That was a brilliant conversation. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and join us next time.